We all believe and know that our nation was founded on certain principles that we hold dear, principles of freedom, liberty, and self-determination. And I do believe that all of those principles are at stake when we look at the leaked draft opinion about what this decision may end up being. I do believe that we should prepare for the right to privacy to be attacked and under attack with this decision.
That was Vice President Kamala Harris at a meeting she held with experts on the consequences of the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. Our next guest, Professor Michelle Bratcher Goodwin, was in that meeting with the Vice President. The next decision announcement day at the Supreme Court is Tuesday of next week, when the court could announce a ruling overturning Roe versus Wade. Joining us now is Michelle Bratcher Goodwin, Chancellor's Professor of Law at the University of California, Irvine. She is the author of Policing the Womb: Invisible Women and the Criminalization of Motherhood. Professor Goodwin, thank you very much for joining us tonight. What did you tell the Vice President in that meeting?
In that meeting, I spoke with the Vice President about the historical arc of privacy and how the Constitution protects individuals from involuntary servitude, and as well about the coming criminalization and civil punishments that we'll be seeing as states implement the trigger laws. As the trigger laws after this decision may end up banning abortions in half the states of the United States, and also what this means in terms of technology, the tracking devices that prosecutors may try to use to determine whether women have gone out of state to be able to seek reproductive health care or abortions in other states.
Is there any historic or constitutional precedent for the idea that a state can pass its own law and then say that it is somehow enforceable when you're in another state?
So, Lawrence, what we see now is the coming of a different kind of Jim Crow, a kind of Jane Crow revisited. During the period of Jim Crow, there were states that tried to enact any number of laws to suppress the citizenship of Black people. And some of that also included tracking if they traveled interstate and who they traveled interstate with. And so some of these kinds of actions won't be new, but still nefarious, still harmful. And of course, it's absolutely outrageous. We've seen the Supreme Court turn a blind eye in many ways on supremacy, such that states are seeking to enact laws that would trump federal laws. We've never seen that before. It's absurd. Or when states have tried that, they've always failed, but not in this new era.
What would you say are the most important points that were discussed in the meeting from the several different perspectives that were offered?
I think the first thing is that privacy and liberty are at stake, and that one can't trust the guardrails that Justice Alito in the leaked draft opinion says will still be protected, such as contraceptive access, or such as marriage equality, or even interracial marriage. There are already members of state legislators that are saying they're going after those things next. Also, the possibility of extradition, states saying that if they believe that birth begins at conception, then going after doctors in other states who perform abortions under the theory that there's been murder, manslaughter, first-degree murder, et cetera. So these were amongst the issues that were talked about, and what this might mean for families that want to build using assisted reproductive technologies. How does that fit in this new future? Many of the kinds of things that Justice Alito might have suggested we shouldn't worry about, we really should, and I think the Vice President wants to be prepared for that, rightfully so.
You have written about what this kind of change in law can mean to girls. That's the word that is never used in, certainly no Supreme Court justice used the word girls when they were talking about this in argument, because there can be 12-year-old girls, there can be 13-year-old girls who suffer incest, rape, and find themselves pregnant. Talk about what this kind of change in the repeal of Roe versus Wade by the Supreme Court, what it can mean to girls.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because in this leaked draft opinion, Justice Alito speaks nothing about rape, speaks nothing about incest, but the new plateau of these anti-abortion laws are that they make no exceptions for cases of rape or incest. So a girl who seeks to terminate a pregnancy after a rape could be punished for trying to do so. And the Supreme Court has given no attention to that whatsoever. In many ways, you see the kind of horrific path and pattern that we've seen in other countries that we would separate ourselves from, that we'd say, well, those are countries that engage in human rights abuses, but that's where we will be.